Part 238, Title 49 CFR, Chapter 2, or Volume 2, Subpart E. Specific requirements of the Terror 2 passenger equipment. Scope. The subpart contains the specific requirements of the railroad passenger equipment that operating with exceeding the speed of 125, not exceeding 150 miles an hour. Requirements subpart apply with the beginning of the September 9, 1990, on the state with the 238-4033. 238-433B, with such passenger equipment that remains their subject to the requirements of concern for the couplers or uncoupling devices contained in the Federal Register Title 49 U.S. Code, Chapter 203, and FRA Regulations, Start 231, and Statute 232, of the chapter. 238-403, Crash Energy Management. Easy to power the car, the trail car, the design of the crash energy management system to dissipate with the kinetic energy during the collision of the crash energy management system should provide a controlled deformation for the collapse of the destination section with the unoccupied with the volume to absorb the collision energy to reduce the deceleration of the passenger crew member resulting from the dynamic forces transmitted occupied by the volumes. The design of each of the units shall consist of the occupied volume located between the two normally occupied volumes, particularly with the section within the unoccupied, shall be designed with a structure weaker than the occupied volume during the collision with the designated sections within the unoccupied volume, but as part of the start of the deform eventually collapse in a controlled fashion to dissipate the energy before any structural damage occurred to the occupied volume. A minimum of each of the Terror 2 passengers of the train shall be designated to meet the following requirements. 13 megajoule for the shall be observed at each of the end of the train through the controlled crushing of the unoccupied volume to the end of this amount, a minimum of the 5 megajoules absorbed ahead of the operator's cab to each of the power car. The minimum of the additional 3 megajoules shall be absorbed with the power of the car between the operator of the cab and the first trailer car. At the end of the first trailer car, the duration of each of the power car observed with the minimum of the 5 megajoules to control with the crushing of the 30 miles per hour collision of the Terror 2 passenger train with the tangent level of track identical to the stationary train. When received anywhere, the trailer car, the velocity at which 50% of the percentile of the adult male continues to exceed the broad head of the hem shall not exceed 25 miles per hour. The deceleration of the occupied volume for each of the trailer shall not exceed 8 G for the purpose of demonstrating the compliance with the paragraph deceleration measurement may proceed from the low pass filter of the bandwidth of 50 Hz. Compliant with the paragraph A and G with the section shall be demonstrated with the dynamic collision computer bound for the purpose of demonstrating the compliance with the following assumptions shall be made. The train remains upright with the line without the wheels over the track throughout the collision. The resistance within the structural crushing with the force for the versus the displacement relation to determine the structural analysis required for the part of the design train. Passenger seating should not permitted to leading in the unit of the Terror 2 passenger train. 238-405 longitudinal static compression strength, compressive strength. To conform with the effective crashing refuge of the crew members occupying the cab of the power cab of the underframe of the cab of the power cab. Car shall resist the minimum longitudinal static compressive force of 2,100,000 pounds for the permanent deformation of the cab, unless equivalent puncture for the crew members provided under the alternative design approach validated through the analysis testing and provided by the FRA under the statute 238-21B. The underframe is occupied with the volume of each of the trailers shall resist the minimum longitudinal static compressive force of 800,000 pounds without pressure, without permanent deformation for the car, demonstrating the compliance with the requirement of 800,000 pounds. Loaded shall be applied with the underframe of the occupied volume that would be transmitted with the underframe of the full ass structure of the vehicle. Unoccupied volume with the power of the car of the trailer designed with the crushing and power of the crash energy management design are not subject to the requirements of this section. 238-407 anti-climbing mechanism. Each power of the car shall have the anti-climbing mechanism able to forward and capable of positioning the ultimate for upward and downward status with a vertical force of 200,000 pounds with the power constructed with the crash energy management design permitted with the crushing control of the manner of the four anti-climbing mechanism fully engages interior train coupling point between the units, including between the unit of the articulated of the car with the other permanent joint out of the unit of the car shall be the anti-climbing mechanism capable of resisting upward and downward vertical of 100,000 pounds with the yielding the forward of the coupler power that shall be attached to the car body with the resist the vertical downward force with 100,000 pounds with any of the horizontal position of the coupler without yielding. 238-409 forward end of the structure for the car cable. The section contains the requirements of forward end construction structure for the cab of the power cable car with the conceptual implementation for the distant end of the structure to provide with the figure one of the subpart center collision post with the forward end structure that have the full height with the center collision post with the structural equivalent cable without standing the following the shear load of 500,000 pounds of the joint underframe without exceeding ultimate strength of the joint. The shear load of the 150,000 pounds of the joint within the roof with exceeding the ultimate strength of the joint. 303 horizontal longitudinal force of 300,000 pounds applied with the point of the level to the bottom of the wind shield without exceeding the ultimate strength. B. Side collision post with the forward end structure shall have two side collision posts with either structural equivalent located with approximately with 1/3 of the points with the laterally, each with the capable withstanding the following: a shear load of 500,000 pounds of the joint underframe without the exceeding the ultimate strength of the joint, the horizontal longitudinal force of 300,000 pounds applied with the point with the level to the bottom of the windshield without exceeding the ultimate strength. Corner post of the forward end of the structure shall have two full height with the corner post of the structural equivalent each of the capable of withstanding following the horizontal longitudinal latitude and shear load of 300,000 pounds of the joint with the underframe without exceeding the ultimate strength of the joint. Two, a horizontal lateral force of 100,000 pounds applied with the point of 30 inches above from the upper frame attachment without exceeding the yield of the critical buckling stress. Three, the horizontal longitudinal lateral shear loaded to 80,000 pounds at the joint of the roof without exceeding the ultimate strength of the joint. Alright, D, the skin. The skin covering the forward-facing each of the power cables car shall be equivalent to 1/2 inch steel plate with 25,000 pounds per square inch yield strength of the material. With a higher yield strength may be used with a decrease the required thickness of the material, provided at least equivalent level of strength are contained. 2. Securely attached to the end of the structure. 3. The secured to prevent the entry of the fluid of the occupied cap of the car of the equipment is used with the paragraph D of the term. The skin does not include the forward-facing windows of the doors. 238-411, the rear end structure power car cabs. The rear of the end of the structure of the cab of the power car shall be designed to include the following elements. The structure equivalent to the conceptual implementation of the end of the structure is provided with the figure 2 of this part. Corner post of the rear end of the structure shall have the two full height for the corner post of the structural equivalent each of the cable car withstanding the following: a horizontal longitudinal lateral shear load of 300,000 pounds in joint with the underframe without exceeding the ultimate strength of the joint. The horizontal longitudinal latitude shear load of 80,000 pounds of the joint with the roof without exceeding the ultimate strength of the joint. Collision post of the rear end of the structure shall have two full height with the collision post of the structural equivalent each capable of withstanding the following: of a horizontal longitudinal shear load of 500,000 pounds of the joint underframe without exceeding the ultimate strength of the joint. The horizontal longitudinal shear load of 75,000 pounds of the joint with the roofs without exceeding the ultimate strength of the joint. Alright, 238-413, end of the structure, end structure of the trailer car. Except the following paragraph B of the section, the end structure of the trailer car should be designed to include the following elements: the structural equivalent and conceptual implementation of the end of the structure is provided in figure 3 of this subpart. 1. The corner post, two full height with the corner post of each capable of withstanding the following: a horizontal longitudinal shear of the 150,000 points each on the frame with exceeding with the ultimate strength of the joint. A horizontal longitudinal latitudinal force of 30,000 pounds applied at a point of 18 inches above the underframe attachment with exceeding the yield and critical buckling stress. The horizontal longitudinal latitudinal shear force of 20,000 pounds at the joint with the roof exceeding the ultimate strength of the joint. 3. The collision post of the two full height of the collision post each capable of withstanding the following: a horizontal latitude shear load of 300,000 pounds is the joint with the underframe with the exceeding the ultimate strength of the joint. Horizontal longitudinal shear of 60,000 pounds to the joint roof with exceeding the ultimate medium strength, ultimate strength of the joint. If the trailer, the design, the end of the vestibule, the structure, the board of the vestibule should have the two full height with the corner post of the structure, each capable of withstanding the following: A, the conceptual implementation of this end of the structure provided with figure 4 with the subpart horizontal longitudinal shear load of 200,000 pounds at the joint with the underframe without exceeding the ultimate shear of the strength of the joint. A horizontal lateral force of 30,000 pounds applied with the point with the 18 inches above from the underframe of each attachment without exceeding the yield of the critical buckling stress. A horizontal longitudinal force of 50,000 pounds applied with the point of the 18 inches up from the underframe attachment without exceeding the yield of the critical buckling and stress. A horizontal longitudinal lateral shear load of 20,000 pounds at the joint with the roof exceeding the ultimate strength of the joint. Alright, 238-415, rollover strength. Each passenger car with the power car shall be designed to rest with the side to be uniformly supported with the top of the roof of the rail with the bottom of the cord side still with the side frame allowable to shaft the structural member to be occupied with the volume of the condition shall be 1/2 the yield with 1/2 the critical buckling strength, whichever the less minor localized information from the outside of the skin for the possession of car of the power cars allowed with the provided information no way to intrude upon the occupied volume of each of the car. Each passenger car with the power car should be designed to resist the roof of any of the damage occupied with the limited with the roof sheeting the frame with the allowable stress and the structural members over the occupied volume with the condition with the 1/2 yield 1/2 critical buckling stress, whichever the left deformation for the roof sheeting frame is allowed with the extent of the necessary permit the vehicle to support directly on the top of the cords for the side frames and end frames. Alright, 238-417, side loads. Each passenger car body with a structure designed to resist the inward transverse load of 80,000 pounds. The force applied with the side sail with 10,000 pounds. Force applied with the belt rail with horizontal mount with the bottom of the window opening with the side frame. The three loads with the conservative applied with separately over the full vertical dimension with the specified remember the distance of 8 feet in the direction of any length of the car. The allowable stress shall be lesser than the yield strength and stress for the except for the otherwise allowed with the paragraph of the critical thing. Buckling stress. The calculation of the stress shall the compliance requirement local yielding side scan adjacent with the side sail belt rail, local yielding of the side sail bend radii with the cross bear with the floor beam conditions allowed. For the purpose of this paragraph, local yielding is allowed provided with the resulting deformation no weight and troop of the unoccupied volume of the car, the connections of the side frame of the roof and the underframe of the support load specified in this section. 238-419 truck car body truck component attachment. To the ultimate strength of the truck to car body of the attachment with each of the unit trains shall be sufficient to result without variable. The following indication applied with the load vertical force with equivalent to G acting with the mass of the truck, forcing 250,000 pounds acting with the horizontal direction with each of the track with along with the resulting vertical reaction of the load. Each component of the track will include the axles, wheels, bearings, truck mounted brake system, suspension system, any other component attached with the truck with the design that shall be remained at the truck when the force equivalent to G is acting with the mass component with exert the direction of the component. Alright, 238-421 glazing. Except for the provided paragraphs B, C with the section exterior window for the passenger of the power with the gaps to comply with the requirements contained in the part 223 chapter, particularly with the end facing exterior glazing the requirements of each engine for the base exterior window of the passenger car with the power and car cable, also the orientated which was installed within the car, resisted the impact with a 12-pound solid steel sphere traveling at a maximum speed within the car with the operator to the impact with an angle with no less than the severe horizontal of the car with no penetration small with the impact with the angle of the perpendicular with 90 degrees window surface shall be considered the most severe impact angle for the most purpose of the requirement. Demonstrate the anti-spalling with the performance of the use of the 1/10,000th of an inch thick aluminum witness plate for the 12 inch of the window surfaces. During all impact, if the witness plate will be contained with no marks of the speed glazing particle for the impact test, the permanently marked prior to the installation in such manner with the marking of the clear visible with after the material has been installed. The marking shall include the words for FRA type HIHP, indicating the material has successfully passed for the testing requirements specified in the paragraph, the name of the manufacturer, the type of the brand, identification of the material, the passenger equipment that ordered them made prior to the May 12, 1999, exterior window of the passenger equipment that ordered the May 12, 1999 must comply with the following glazing requirements of lieu with the requirements specified in paragraph A, B of the section 1, each for the end of the facing exterior window with the show in the orientation in which it is installed the vehicle to be resistant to the impact of the 12-pound steel sphere traveling at the maximum speed of the vehicle will operate with 2. The impact with the angle with the no less than severe horizontal with the vehicle with no penetration or spalling. The impact of the angle with the perpendicular with the window surface instead of the most severe impact the angle with the purpose of the requirement. Each side of the facing of the exterior window shall resist the impact of a 12-pound solid sphere at the 15 miles per hour angle with 90 degrees to the window surface with no penetration or spall. 2. Granite ballast stone, the weighing of the minimum of half a pound, traveling at 75 miles an hour, impact at 90 degree angle with the window surface with no penetration or spalling. All exterior windows shall resist a single impact with 9mm 147 grain bullet traveling at an impact velocity of 900 feet per second with no bullet penetration or spalling. Demonstrating anti-spalling performance using of 2,000ths of an inch of thickness aluminum witness plate for the place from 12 inches from the window surface during an impact test of the witness plate shall contain no marks from installed glazing particles and impact testing be permanently marked with the prior installation in such a manner that the marking is clearly visible with the material that has been installed. The marking shall include the form FRA type IH for this end-facing glaze, the form FRA type IIH side-facing glaze indicating the material has successfully passed the testing requirements of the section. The name of the manufacturer, the type of the brand, of the indication of the glazing securement, the exterior window of the glass in your car with the power car cable shall remain on plate for the subject of the force of the tube, the air pressure for the difference for the cause for the two trains pass the minimum separation to adjacent. While the traveling opposite direction, each traveling train traveling maximum authorized speed of the impact force of the glazed window is required to resist specified section. Stenciling. Each car is fully equipped with the glazing material to meet the requirements of the section be stencilable in the interior of the valve. The fully equipped with the FRA, the part 238 glazing of the similar words conveying the meaning of the letters at least at 3/8 of an inch high. Alright, 238-423, fuel tanks. External fuel tanks. Each step of the external fuel tank must provide with the FRA associated administrative safety users upon show, knowing that the fuel tank provides the level of safety at least of equivalent to the fuel tank applied with the external fuel tanks requirement to 238-223-EA. Internal fuel tanks. Internal fuel tanks shall comply with the requirements specified in 238-223-B. 238-425, electrical system. Circuit protection. The main propulsion power line shall be provided. Take up the line arrestor for the automatic circuit breaker and overload Relay, the lightning arrestor shall be run with the most direct path possible to the ground with a connection with the ground not less than 6 to 8 American wire gauge. These overload protection devices shall be housed in enclosure designed specifically for the purpose of the arc shooting, preventing directly to the outside air. However, the aim of the power, including the power distribution, shall provide with both overload with the ground fuel fault protection. 2. Circuit chief for the purpose of the propelling the equipment should be connected with their power source through the circuit breaker with the equivalent current limiting device. Each auxiliary circuit shall be provided with a circuit breaker located as near practical point with the connection with the source of the power with the power circuit with the help of the each protection may be omitted with the circuit controlling safety critical devices. B. Main battery system. The main battery system shall be isolated with the capacitor and steam valve. The non-combustible areas battery charger shall be designed to protect against overcharging. Battery circuits shall include all emergency battery cutoff switches to completely disconnect the energy store with the energy storing the batteries from the load. If the batteries are type of with potentially preventing explosive gas, the battery shall be adequately ventilated, preventing the accumulation of explosive concentration of these gases. Power dissipation resistors. Power dissipation resistors shall be adequately ventilated to prevent overheating under the worst case of the operating condition. The power dissipation the grids shall be designed and installed with sufficient insulation preventing combustion between resistor elements and combustion material. Power dissipation the resistor circuit shall incorporate the warning protect devices, low ventilation, airflow, over temperature, and short circuit failures. 4. Resistor elements shall be electronically insulated. Resistor frames and frames shall be electrically insulated for the support that holds them. Electronic magnetic interface compatibility. The operating of the railroad shall ensure the electromagnetic compatibility of the safety critical equipment system that the environmental electromagnetic compatibility can achieve. The equipment design and change for the operating equipment. 2. The electronic equipment shall not produce the electronic node with the interface for the train line control with the communication wayside signal system to contain with the magnetic interference emission and suppression of the transition shall be enforced whenever possible. 4. Electronic system of the equipment that shall be capable of action present for the external electromagnetic noise surface of all electronic equipment shall be self-protected for the damage of improper operation both due to the high with voltage transit, long-term over voltage, under voltage conditions. Alright, 238, 427, suspension system. General requirements. Suspension shift is designed reasonable to prevent a wheel with a climb with wheel unload with the rail over the rail shift the vehicle to overturn with the ensure the stable performance and red quality. The performance shall be met within all operating environments under the track condition loading the condition determine the operation of the railroad at the track speeds. Overall, the track quality is consistent with the track safety chain with the Part 213 chapter on the maximum operating student maximum can deficiency with the equipment. All passenger equipment shall meet the safety performance standard with the suspension contained with the 213 chapter of the alternative standards provided with the least of the equivalent in the provided with the FRA under the provision 238.21 in particular, pre-revenue surface qualification. All passenger equipment that shall demonstrate the safe operation during the pre-revenue surface qualification occurrence with the statute 238, 345, and chapter of the subject requirements of 213, 329 of this chapter. 2. The revenue service operation of passenger equipment is subject to the subject requirements 213, 329 with the 213, 333 of the car body acceleration. Passengers shall not operate the conditions result with the steady lateral acceleration greater than 15 gigs, 15 hundredths of the gig of G. The measure of the parallel with the car floor inside of the passenger compartment. Additional car body acceleration leave the limits specified in the statute 230 and 213, 333. Trucking, hunting the acceleration each of the truck shall be equipped with a permanently installed lateral accelerometer mounted on the truck frame. If the truck is hunting, it is detected with the train monitoring system shall provide the alarm to the locomotive engineer. The train shall slow to a speed of at least 5 miles per hour less than the speed at which it was truck hunting stopping. Truck hunting is defined in 213, 333 of the chapter. Alright, 238, 428, overheat sensor. Overheat sensor for each of the wheel set. Journal bearing shall be provided with a sensor for the being placed on either the board with the equipment, the reasonable intervals along with the railroads right away. Alright, 238, 429, safety appliance couplers. Leading with the trail lamp with the permanently coupled train set with the trail each with equipped with the automatic coupler with the couples with the impact and uncoupled after the activation of the tray. Additional uncoupling and some other uncoupling mechanism that does not require the person between the equipment and the units. The automatic coupler and uncoupler devices leading of the trailing end of the semi-permanently coupled with the train set may be stored with the removable shroud housing. If the units of the train are not semi-permanently coupled to both ends of the unit shall be equipped with the automatic coupler couples with the impact with the uncoupled activation traditional uncoupling lever or some type of uncoupling mechanism that does not go to the person between the equipment units. Handbrake is separately provided and pick up after the section tear tooth trains that are equipped with the parking with a handbrake that can be applied with the release of manually that is capable of holding the train at 3% grade. Safety is applying for the mechanical training of the fasteners. All handrails, handholds, and side sill steps shall be made with 1 inch diameter steel pipe and 5/8 of an thickness step. The material of each with the greater mechanical strength. All seat appliances shall be securely fastened to the car body structure of the mechanical fastener. Have the mechanical strength greater than equal to the 1/2 inch diameter as Society American Engineer grade steel with a bolt and as fastening. Safety appliances of mechanical fasteners shall have the mechanical strength fatigue resistance equal to the greater than 1/2 inch of the standard American Engineer steel bolt. Mechanical fasteners shall be installed with a positive means for preventing unauthorized removal of the self-locking thread. Fasteners do not meet the requirement. 3 mechanical fasteners shall be installed with the facilitate inspection. Handrails and handholds are also provided with the paragraph A of this section. Handrails should provide with the passenger on both sides of all the system with the use of the board but depart of the train except with the power of the vehicle shall be equipped with the handrails, handholds, so that all the crew can get on and off the vehicle safely. Throughout the entire length of the handrails shall be the color contrast with the color of the vehicle body with which are fastened. Maximum distance above the top of the rail, the bottom of the vertical handrails should be within 51 inches. The minimum distance above shall be 21 inches. The vertical handrails should be installed with continuing the point of the least equal to the height of the top of the edge of the control cab door. The minimum hard clearance of the distance between the vertical handrail and handhold vertical body should be 2.5 inches of the entire length, with vertical handholds hold securely fastened to the vehicle body. If the length of the handrail exceeds 60 inches, it should be securely fastened to the power vehicle body with the 2 fasteners on each end. So steps that each describe the very paragraph F of this section. Each power vehicle shall equip within this step below the exterior door follows. The sill step shall have the minimum cross-sectional area of 1/2 by 3 inches. The sill step shall be made of the steel with the material equal or greater than strength with the fatigue resistance. The minimum tread length of the sill step should be 10 inches. The minimum cleared depth of the sill step should be 8 inches. Outside edge of the tread of the sill step should be flush with the side of the car body structure. The sill step should not have the vertical rise exceeding 20 to 18 inches. Lowest sill steps and treads shall not more than 24, preferably not more than 22 inches above the top of the track rail. The sill step shall be the color of that contrast the color of the power of the vehicle body with which they are fastened. 9. Sill steps shall have securely fastened at least 50% of the tread surface area in each of the sill steps shall be allowed open space. For the portion of the tread surface each of the sill step of them not open space that normally contained with the foot, but they should be treated on the anti-skid material. Exemption. If the unit's equipment is semi-permanent uncoupling doing only to the maintenance function, the equipment of the unit is not required for the paragraph of the A with the section with the equipment with the automatic couplers need not to be equipped with the sill step at the end of the side, but the handholds normally be used to safely perform coupling and uncoupling operation. If the unit is equipped with a non-permanently coupled units should be equipped with the handbrakes and all sill steps, handholds, side hills that meet the requirements contained in 231.14 of the chapter. If the 2 train sets are equipped from a single train that is not semi-permanently coupled, the coupled by automatic coupler, the automatic coupled end shall be equipped with the end of the handhold located installed with the indicated individual can safely couple and uncouple the train set. The end of the handhold shall not be more than 6 inches of each of the side of the car that shall extend with the remaining length of the end of the car. If the equipment is designed to taper over the side of the car shall be determined based on the outer dimension tapered within the end of the handhold attached. The end of the handhold shall also meet the mechanical strength of design requirements contained in paragraph C, D3, and D6 of this section. The train set are semi-permanently coupled. This safety appliance is not required. Alright, G. Occupational safety appliance. The safety appliance installed with the option of the rail shall firmly be detached mechanical fastener. Meet the design of the installation requirements provided in this section. 238.431 brake system. The master train brake system should be capable of stopping the train maximal operation speed within the single spacing existing the track over to which the train is operating with the worst case of adhesion condition. The brake system shall be designed to allow the inspector to determine the brake system and function properly without having to place himself or herself within the position under or between the equipment. Fastener equipment should be provided with the emergency brake application feature of the procedure for the irretrievable stop. Due to the brake rate consistent with the prevailing adhesion for the fastener safety of the brake system, the thermal capacity of the emergency brake application should be available at any time and the initiated intentional part of the train means for the initiating emergency brake application should be provided with the 2 locations in each of the unit of the train. However, where the unit of the train is 45 feet or less length of the means for the initiated emergency brake application need only to provide 1 location for the unit. The brake system can be designed to prevent thermal damage of wheels to the brake disc with the operating with the railroad shall demonstrate through the analysis testing and no thermal damage results with the wheel and brake disc for the condition resulting with a maximum brake efforts with the so exerted with the wheel and disc. The following requirements apply with the blended brake system. Loss of power failure with the dynamic brake does not result exceed the allowable stopping distance. The friction brake alone is also adequate to safe stop of the train under all operation conditions. 3. Operational staff with the electronic portion of this brake shell. This is to display the train operated with the control cab of the operating rail so to demonstrate the analysis of testing maximum operating speed with the safe operating train. Use it only with the friction brake portion of the blended brakes with no thermal damage of the wheel or disc. F. The brake system design shall also be disabled the train's pneumatic brake control with the conventional locomotive during the rescue operation through the brake pipe control. AG. An independent failure of the detection system shall compare with the brake condition with the brake system output. The termination failures have occurred. The failure detection system shall report the brake system failure of the automated train monitoring system. Alright, 8. Passenger equipment should be equipped with the adhesion control system designed to automatically adjust the braking force to each wheel to prevent sliding during the braking. If the event of a failure system with the preventing the wheel slide with the reset with the parameters of the wheel slide aligned with the visual audible to both and shell alert with the train and operate with the cab of the controlling power car wheel slide condition of the only axle of the train. 238-433 lead draft system lead and trailing automatic couplers shall be compatible with the standard AAR coupler with no special adapters. Use all passenger equipment that continue with the subject of the requirement concerning the couplers uncoupling devices contained in Federal Statute Title 49 U.S. Code Chapter 203 and FR Regulations Part 231, 232, 2. Alright, 238-435, interior fittings and surfaces. Each seat with the back seat attachment to the passenger car should be designed with the same deflection bolt without total failure with the load associated with the impact of the seat back with the untrained 95 percentile with the adult male initially seated behind the seat back of the floor, which if the seat is attached with the decelerates with the triangular crush with the crash pulse having a peak of the 8 G with a duration of 250 milliseconds. Each seat may back of the passenger car shall include the shock absorbent material cushion and the impact of the occupants of the seat ahead of them. C. The ultimate strength of each of the seat of attachment of the passenger car should also sufficient with the withstand the following individual will apply with the acceleration acting with the mass of the seat placed with plus the mass of the seat occupant within 95% of the adult male. 1. Lateral 4G, vertical 4G, D1. The other interior fittings will be attached with the passenger car by with sufficient strength with the withstand the following individual will apply with the acceleration acting with the pass for the fitting. Longitudinal 8Gs, lateral 4Gs, and vertical 4Gs. Fitting that can be expected to do so impact the person due to the collision with especially the tables facing the seat with the design mass with the fitting of the plus with the mass and the number of the occupants with the 95 percentile adult males that occupy with the expected to strike the pitting of the floor with the passenger of the car decelerating with the triangular crush pulse having the peak of the 8Gs, the duration of 250 milliseconds, ultimate strength over the interior fittings of the equipment, the power of the car control cab, the decision to resist the failure load to do the following individual acceleration acting mass of the fitting of the equipment, longitudinal 12 Gs forward, lateral, forward, vertical, extent of the personal interior fittings except that shall be reassessed the flesh mounting corner sharp edge with the void otherwise padded. Emergency absorbent material should be used with the pad surface for the impact with the occupant's collision, the derailments, luggage sorts and compartments should be enclosed without having the ultimate strength of the position of resistant load with the following individual apply with acceleration acting with the mass of the luggage of the compartments due designed to accommodate longitudinal 8 Gs, lateral 4 Gs, vertical 4 Gs. If the purpose of showing the compliance with the requirements of the section strength with the seat attachment is to be determined from, through a sled testing, the seat structure for the seat attachment of the sled are used for the such testing. Most of the represent of the actual seat structure in the seat attachment of the rail vehicle, the subject of requirements for the section attachment strength with any other fitting interior fitting is demonstrated through the sled testing of the purpose of showing compliance with the requirements of the section. The steps of the test should be conducted in a similar manner. Alright, 238-437 reserved. 238-439 doors. In addition to the requirements of 238-1112 with the status for each of the powered exterior side of the door, the passenger car should be displayed with the cruise operating cab for the door interlocked with the sense for the detector of the train motion shall be normally set when they operate for 3 miles per hour. Each for the power exterior for the side door for the passenger car shall be connected with the emergency backup power for the passenger cars ordered prior to January 28, 2014. The placed in service in January 29, 2018. Passenger compartment at the end of the door of the other door providing the access for the exterior of the train set should be equipped with the kick-out plan. Panel pull out window, other similar means for the grass, but even the event of the door will not open shall be designed to pose the negligible probability of becoming improbable the event with the car body distortion following the collision or derailment. Alright, existing power passenger car and power cable power cars. Each passenger car with a power car ordered on April 1st, 2009 placed in service for the first time to arrive at April 1st, 2011, to show with a minimum of one roof hatch emergency each of the location within the minimum opening with a 26 inches to 24 inches or at least one structural weak point of the roof with the providing minimum open to the same dimension to provide access to the properly equipped with emergency response with the personnel. Each of the emergency roof access location shall be consistently marked legibly and legibly understandable operating of the instructions shall be posted in the area of each of the such location on and after January 28, 2015. The such with marking shall also conform to the requirements specified in 238-125. The new passenger cards, each of the passenger card or ordered on or after April 1st, 2009, specified placed in the service for the first time, but after April 1st, 2011, shall comply with the emergency roof access to the room's requirements is 238-123. New power cars, each power car with the ordered after the April 1st, 2009, placed in service for the first time after April 1st, 2011, shall have the minimum of one emergency roof access location, minimum opening of 26 inches longitudinal, 24 inches laterally, complying with the emergency roof access requirements as specified in 238-123 B, D, and E. Alright, 238-443, headlights. Each power of the car shall be equipped with at least two headlights. Each of the headlights shall be produced with no less than 200,000 candela on one headlight. Should be arranged to illuminate the person standing between the rails of 800 feet ahead of the power car under the clear of the weather conditions. The other headlight should be arranged to illuminate the person standing between the rails of the 1,500 feet ahead of the power car under clear of weather conditions. The power car with the headlight in non-compliance with the requirements of the paragraph A of the section shall be moved in accordance with the following. If only the headlight is defective, considered the non-running car, the defective the subject of the provision contained in 238-17 of this part. If both the headlights and the defective power cord shall be inspected and taken in accordance with the requirements contained in 238-17C, but the related non-running gear defective the power may be contained with the UVU, the passenger surface on the nearest forward location when the repairs necessary to bring the power card into the compliance, but they can be made with the power of the next car's next calendar day mechanical inspection whenever further occurs first. 238-445, automated monitoring. Each passenger train shall be equipped with the monitoring of the performance of the following system with the components of the reception of the cab, the signals and train control signals in truck hunting. Dynamic braking system, friction brake status, fire detection system, head-end power status, alerter and deadman control, horn belt, wheel slide, tilt system, onboard bearing, temperature sensor if equipped, be any such for the equipment component with the operating outside of the predetermined safety parameters. When the train operator shall be alerted and the immediate corrective action shall be taken with the system with the component with the defective impair of the train operator's ability to safely operate the train, and immediately corrective action includes the limiting of the speed of the train. The monitoring system should be designed to automate self-test with the feature of notifying the train operator with the feature of the notify that the monitoring capability of the function correctly alerts the train operating with the system when failure occurs. Right, 238-447, the train operators control and power cab layout. Train operators cab with the control for the power cab will be arranged with the train above the train for the human air with the conformability within each of the reach of the operation seat with the normal transportation control position. The train operator's control panel with the button switch, the lever, the knob, and likely distinguishable by the sight with the touch, and alertable should be provided with the power cable if eligible. The alert shall be called with the brake application store at the top of the train power cab with the cab with information display with it shall be designed with the following characteristics: simplicity, standardization shall be driven. The criteria of the design format is displaying the information in the cab and essential safety critical information shall be displayed. Default condition. Operator selection shall be made required to display other default information. 4. Cab control signals. The display of the operator's display shall be readable with the operator's normal position, lighting condition. The power of the car cab should be designed to permit the car crew for an effective field of view with the forward direction, as well with the right, the left, with the direction of the travel to observe the approaching with the train, either side of the field of view with obstruction due to the required structural member that shall be maintained each side with the provided with the employer regularly assigned with the occupy the power cab within any floor mounted with the seat with the cab shall be securely covered to the car body with an attachment having the ultimate strength of the cable to withstand the loss due to the following individually applied to acceleration acting. Combined masses of the seat. The mass of the seat occupant is 95 percentile adult male, longitude 12 G's, lateral 4 G's, vertical 4 G's. Alright, 4, the design is that all the adjustment range of the necessary accommodation person range of the 5 percentile adult female, 95% adult male, the person possessing such characteristics specified the direct correction of the clothing and appropriate with the recognized survey of the 1958 weight with a heightened body over the dimension of the U.S. adults. Equipped with the lumbar support with adjusted the seat position, equipped with the force associated with the vehicle vertical height with adjustment operated with the seat position. Equipment is manually reclined with the seat back adjusting with the seated position. Equipped with adjustable headrest with with the folding pad, the armrest. Sharp edges and corners shall be eliminated from the interior of the power cab car, with the interior surface of the cab likely to be intact. If normally employed during the collision, the derailment should be padded with a shock absorbent material. Alright. This is figure 1, subpart E, part 238, with the power car cab, the forward end structure, the power car cab, forward end structure conceptualization, full height of the corner post from 300 to 800, 150, the full height center of the center, 300 collision post extend to the top of the short hood, 300, 180, 150, 180, 80 lateral forces, full height of the corner post, 100 to 30 inches up, the collision post extend to the top of the short hood, 300, 300, 500, 500, 300, all forces and kips. Figure 2, subpart E, part 238, power car cable, the rear end of the structure for the conceptual implementation, part E, part 1. On the top of the have 85, 75, 80, 80 lateral forces, full height corner post of 300 to 80, the full height collision post, 300, 500, 300 full height collision post, full height corner post, longitudinal force with all forces and kip. Figure 3, subpart E, for the part 238 with the trailer car into the structural conceptualization implementation, subpart E, trailer car into the structural conceptualization, 30, 60, 60, 20, 20 lateral forces, full height corner post, full height collision post, full height collision post, and full height corner post. You have 30 at 18 inches up, the 150 at 150, 30 and 30, 20 and 60, 20 and 30, 30, 60, 20, 150 longitudinal forces. Alright, figure 4, subpart E with the part 238 with the trailer car inboard with the vestibule end with the structural conceptual implementation, subpart E with the trailer car inbound with the vestibule end structure with the conceptual implementation. Alright, full height corner post with 220 and longitudinal forces, lateral forces 20 and 20, 30 inches up, the full height corner post 50 and 200 longitudinal forces. Subpart F, inspection, testing, maintenance requirements for the tire tube passenger equipment.